Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm your host, Brian, joined with your other host,
Karen.
Karen, and what are we talking about for this episode?
We're going to talk about the Mother Grace and Immortal Bird release party thing that was at Reggies.
At Reggies, right. So I think there were actually two of these. One of them in Indianapolis.
Yes, yep, which is where Mother Grace is from.
Right.
And then one at Reggies.
Which here in Chicago, which is where Immortal Bird is from.
Yes.
So it's sort of like, hey, we're close to each other. We're up and coming bands. We have albums that are coming out roughly the same time. Let's do release parties together. I assume the one in Indianapolis, Mother Graves headlined, and then here in Chicago,
I'm assuming
it flipped to Immortal Bird. I would assume that's how it goes.
It makes sense to me that in Indianapolis, Mother Graves would headline since it's their home show,
right? Yeah.
Versus Immortal Bird headlined here
in Chicago, right? Exactly. That makes sense to me. We don't know for sure. We didn't go to the one in Indianapolis. This was the one here in Reggies, as you already said. Just getting some, sort of bookkeeping out of the way real quick.
Your numbers.
My numbers. Tickets for this were $20 with $6.21 in fees.
I do have to say, one band dropped out from this tour.
Yes.
And at the door, they dropped it $5. So it was $15 at the door.
They did. I did see that on Instagram. They kept saying that or showing that as well.
Yeah.
And why don't you tell us then who the other bands were that were also there with these two bands?
So Apophy was the band that was there. And then Payasa? I don't know how to say it. Payasa. Yeah, so Payasa was unable to make it.
Which is unfortunate, but, it is what it is. Things happened and, whatever. It happens all the time. So that's cool. We didn't get the discount or any sort of refund or anything, but whatever. It is what it is again.
I joked that what if at the door they just start handing you $5?
Oh, you bought ahead of time. Here's $5.
Yeah. But, oh well.
But also cool that they did lower the price. We've been to shows where people drop out and they don't lower the price.
Even
right?
some larger names drop out and they don't lower it.
So whatever. It is what it is. It's cool that they did it, but also, it happened. So whatever. We missed a bound. Hopefully someday we'll see him again for the first time. Not again, but hopefully we'll see them. But whatever. It was still a great night just sort of diving into it. I had a lot of fun this night.
I did too.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you at the next show.
It did almost seem like you were ending it
I was just sort of whatever. It didn't matter. Right. I still had a great night.
Yeah. We went to see Mother Graves, so it didn't really impact how we saw the night.
That was the main selling point for us, for sure. And as we said, this was a release party, so you hadn't listened to the new Mother Graves album.
No, I only listened to the first song. Yeah, or the first release song.
Oh, because it was released early, right? Yeah, and a week before the album came out, they've sort of did a streaming party or a listening party for the album.
Oh, right.
I was able to do. You were on a trip with your family and couldn't listen to it.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Which I joined in. It was fun. They played the entire album in its full straight, top
was
to
it
bottom.
Streamed though, or did they play it live or play it on instruments?
It was streamed.
Okay.
So Bandcamp had a platform or something you can listen. I don't know what it was that you just log into. You had to sign up ahead of time. You got a link. The band was on there. There was a streaming chat that they typed in responses to, and people would talk about, ask questions and whatnot. It was fun. I didn't really pay attention to the chat. I honestly hate those kind of chat things because I can never keep up with reading, and there's no way I'd be able to do that and be effective at.
You'd be typing a comment that's 10 streams away or 10 rails
exactly.
away. Yeah.
So it's whatever. I try to avoid watching those chats with whatever I'm, Twitch or whatnot. Whatever it is, I hate those chats. So I saw that was on. I just put my headphones in. I walked around the house cleaning or doing work around the house while listening to the album. I really enjoyed the new album when I listened to it. There were some really fucking good tracks on there.
Okay, there's probably lots of little cuts in here because our cat was being an ass and we had to put him in the room. So
anyway, the streaming thing was a lot of fun. I did enjoy the new album. We bought it on vinyl, and when we got it, soon after you got home, I wanted to listen to it. And you're like, no, I don't want to listen to this yet. I want the listening party to be my first experience with
the album release party.
Yeah.
Because the first time we ever saw Mother Grace was with Khemmis at Reggies,
which was their first show outside of Indianapolis as well.
So in my mind, I was I want the live performance to be the first time I hear the album, thinking that they were going to play the album in full.
Because it was a release party, we thought, so they're going to do the whole album. Maybe they did in Indianapolis. Maybe that was more special, so they did the entire album in full start to back. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll get into it when we get to their set. Spoilers, they didn't. It was a mix of old and new shit.
Which is cool.
Which is great, yeah. But getting into the first band, Apophy, we do not have their set list.
We do not, no. The other two set lists, we got pictures from their set list from the show. So that's how we found them. But not how we found it, but how we got the set list, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually going to look real quick just to double, triple check it's not on Setlist FM. Yeah, Apathy's not even listed on Setlist FM as playing that night, but they did. We saw them. We were sitting down for the first time at Reggies on those sort of cement, sort of brick seat things they have on the side, stage left. And a couple members of the band and all their friends were like right next to us, just hanging out, chatting. And like right before they're supposed to go on stage, the singer came out and was like, "Where the fuck is my drummer? Like, we got to get going. Like, let's get the fuck on stage, guys." I did think that was kind of funny.
So the thing that I maybe nobody knew what time they were starting because the show was supposed to start. Doors were at 7. Show was supposed to start at 8. Since the band dropped out, it almost seemed like that they just took that 25 minutes
and pushed it to the end.
And push it to not to the end, but like
everything got pushed back.
Apathy didn't go on until 8:25 or 8:30 ish.
Yeah, I think 8:30.
Yeah, so it could have been one of those situations.
Yeah.
The thing that I found fun about sitting next to the band was they were talking about merch, and they were like, somebody brought up a card reader, and they're like, no, we don't have a card reader. Once we get big enough, we'll get a card reader. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I know there's a cost to that, but I was like, it is a very helpful thing when you go to venues, just so that anybody can buy merch. Because like we couldn't buy merch because we don't have, not buy their merch because we don't have we don't carry cash.
And we talk about that all the time. We need to get better at carrying cash, right? But that is a good point. It's what, like 3-5%, even if it's 10%. Like the band is taking in 90% of what they sell versus 90% of nothing because you can't actually sell it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we as consumers and as concert goers, you and I need to get better at bringing cash so we can actually give cash. And cash is easier. It goes a long way. The band probably prefers cash, honestly.
Possibly.
Doesn't matter how big you are, like probably prefer cash over getting a fee on whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I just thought that little conversation was kind of interesting.
No, I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, like it is fun. I mean, I figured that they were probably somebody in that was part of the band. I didn't know who was who, but
they did say they did have Venmo though, so they could do the Venmo.
Oh, okay.
But I know Venmo is starting to take some.
You have to do friends and family on Venmo.
Yeah, or if you make too much money or something, they'll take it.
Anyways.
No, but that was cool. Yeah. They took the stage. I remember liking them. It's been a few weeks since we saw them. Nothing honestly drastically stood out for me in terms of their sound and their feel, but I do remember enjoying their set and thinking it was a great time.
Yeah, I was trying to look up the band afterwards. I can't find them except for on Instagram.
Oh, for real?
Because there's another performer named Apathy. So, but it's spelled APAT. Okay, this episode is great because now our battery died. Cat and battery. Okay, but I was trying to look them up online. I couldn't find them except for their Instagram. On Instagram, they are listed as a Chicago extreme metal band.
Okay.
So I could definitely get that extreme metal, whatever extreme metal classifies as. But
again, like I'm really upset. Like I wish we would have recorded this earlier. I know I wasn't necessarily in the right headspace like the next day to see it or a few days after. But
to record, you mean?
Yeah. So it's been a couple weeks since we've seen it. I do remember liking their set.
I like them. Yeah.
Can't remember much at this point about their set, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like a lot of energy. I remember a lot of energy. They did have a lot of friends there, so there was people in the crowd, and like who were there to support them, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Obviously we've never seen them before, but being in Chicago, we'll probably see them again at some point. I just remember a lot of like the vocalists would like be jumping around and like doing the scream vocals and everything like that.
I do remember a couple crowd interactions with the lead singer, which was awesome. The one that made me smile, like, oh, that's fucking sweet and like adorable and fucking that's amazing. Thank you. I don't know why I'm saying thank you, but thank you. Was, hey, we're very thankful to be here. Immortal Bird, Mother of Graves, thank you so much for having us here. Like, this is amazing. This is your night. So thank you for even asking us to even be on the stage with you. Also, they've got merch in the back. Both of those bands got merch in the back. Go buy their merch. And if you have any money left over, stop by and maybe buy something from us. If not, that's fine. Whatever. We'll get you at the next show type thing. So I thought it was really cool. Like, I've never had a band like, hey, go buy the headliner shit first and then maybe come check us out. Like, I've never had that or seen that. And they're like, because
they did say like, oh, this is their night. Like, we're just here supporting them or whatever. But like, it's their night to
which was like
shine.
Fucking amazing. I thought like, I've never seen a band do that. It made me smile. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
I remember really enjoying their set, which sometimes, I mean, like we said at the beginning, we went there to see Mother Graves, but sometimes, the opening band or other bands that are there blow us away as well. So.
Yeah, and we got there like super early, and there weren't many people there when we first got there. It seemed very dead. This was also the week of Thanksgiving.
The Saturday before Thanksgiving.
The Saturday before Thanksgiving. So we were questioning like how busy was it actually going to be. And I remember when we were sitting there listening to the band members and their friends chat, like, this is a good sized crowd for tonight. And in my head, I'm like, this is not that fucking good. What the fuck are you talking about? Although we weren't outside smoking or anything.
No,
so
right. Yeah.
By the time they
in the bar.
Or in the bar,
because people could be on the other side. So Reggies, this was in the rock club, so they could have been on the actual Reggies side.
But by the time they got done, I looked around like, okay, it filled out pretty fucking well.
Like, it wasn't packed. We've been there for a couple shows. You've definitely been there. Like, you went to that Decibel thing, but like where it's been packed. But it wasn't like that, but it was definitely full.
And it filled out as the night went on, but by the end of their set, I was like, shit, there's a lot more people than I remember. Because I didn't look around at the crowd, but at the end I looked around like, holy shit, there's a lot more people than I thought.
Yeah.
So it was a good crowd. I'm glad everybody showed up and saw this.
I'm wondering if there was an announcement somewhere that they weren't going to start until 8:30 and we just missed it.
Maybe.
I mean,
we just showed up. Yeah.
We showed up at what, like 7:40 maybe?
Something like that.
7:45. Yeah. So I mean, not like super early, but it's not like we showed up at 7. But
yeah, I wish I had more to say about Apathy. I want to see them again. Like, that's my goal for next year or maybe this year, whenever this is posted. My goal for 2025 is to wander around Chicago and see more Chicago bands and more small clubs
at
in
the
Chicago.
Local shows, yeah.
We've seen so many local Chicago bands this year, and they've just blown us
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, every single one that we've seen. We've just been like, holy shit.
And there's like one show, I think that Norma Jean show, where we're like, the two Chicago bands were better than the headliner.
2 openers like blew us away, and then it's Norma Jean, and we're like, okay, we're done.
Right, like, can we bring them back out?
Yeah, exactly.
So like Chicago bands are starting to like blow my mind away with how good they fucking are, and Immortal Birds is going to be the same way when we get to them. Yeah. For me anyway. But yeah, that was Apathy. Again, I wish I had more to say for them. I will definitely keep an eye out and try to check out a show, hopefully in 2025 for them.
Yeah.
So then Mother Graves is next. And as you had already said, we don't have their set list from Setlist FM, but we got to take a photo of it because it was on stage, and I kind of leaned over and took a photo when they were tearing everything down. And why don't you read off what was listed out there?
Yeah, so on their set list that they played, they have a Scarlet Threnody? I don't know how to say that word. Tears Like Wine, Shatter the Visage, Rain, The Periapt of Absence.
Which is their title track off their new album.
Yes, yeah. Upon Burdened Hands, and then they ended with Where the Shadows Adorn.
And as we said, it wasn't all the new album. Where the Shadows Adorn is off the last album.
So is Rain.
So is Rain.
Tears Like Wine.
Yes, but a good mix of new and old stuff there, our previous stuff in there. But Where the Shadows Adorn was their opening track for their set with Khemmis.
Yeah, so that's the first song we ever heard. And how it starts is just with like the keyboard playing, and then it comes in, and it like that keyboard playing is what got us, with both of us, with Mother of Graves, who were like, holy fuck, this is amazing.
Oh, I fucking love it. It's so soft and like melodic, and then you go into like the deep growls and like the doomy sound. Oh, I fucking love that shit.
I listen to that. I'll either listen to that or I'll listen to Khemmis if I want that like doom metal like sound. And it's something that I've listened to. That honestly, out of all their songs, that's the only song I've ever listened to like on Spotify, unless we're listening to the
album.
Not the album, but the
playlist.
Playlist. Yeah. But otherwise, like, I listened to that song only, and I liked how a Scarlet Threnody, I'm probably saying that wrong, but how that comes in as well. How they started it was just with that, and it's just a very soft guitar starting.
It is, yeah. So that was really cool with this set, I remember, is that they're up there on stage. They're putting their stage together. But they're up there just like, I need more in my ear. I need less. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good with the guitar sound. I'm good, whatever. Just doing sound check shit, right? They're just doing sound check shit. And then all of a sudden, they get done doing it. There's no announcement. There's no nothing. I think the house music is still playing. And then the guitar just starts doing this. And it's unclear.
No, the house music stopped.
Not at first, because they started doing that. And then the house music did stop. But the guitar sort of... they just started playing the guitar and went right into it.
Yeah.
But like no dimming the lights, no leaving the stage and coming back. It was like going straight from sound check into the actual set.
Yeah.
Which I've been thinking a lot lately this year. Just like, I would love it for a band, like just do their sound check and make that part of the performance.
Okay.
Like, what if your vocalist comes up there and they're doing like the deep growls or the screams, and then that goes into the start of a song and the band just kicks in and just starts running with it right there. It was a cool thought I had, and I really enjoyed how they did it here, too, because it just blended right there. But agreed, like, the intro to that song is so fucking good. Like, the soft melodic sort of just build up for this great fucking song.
I like the start of the song. I do not like how they did it, because I think even the crowd didn't know that the concert had started.
They did not.
Because the friends from Apophy were having their laughing conversation, and then there were people in the balcony having a laughing conversation, and I'm like... shut the fuck up. It's starting. Like,
I agree. There is that bit, right, where it's like, is this starting or is this not starting?
Yeah.
There was no announcements. Or not announcement.
I don't think there would be an announcement. I've never seen an announcement unless it's like a radio hosted show that's like, the band is coming out now.
But you know, like, when the show's about to start. That's what I mean by announcement. Like, the lights dim.
Okay.
And then the house music stops, or the backing, like, intro track kicks in. And that's sort of the announcement of like, all right, we're starting. Where this was sort of just blended in right in, and then it just sort of started. Where people, I agree with you. I don't think they necessarily knew that it had started type thing.
Yeah. But I loved how it started. Like, because I was actually thinking about the first time that we saw them with Khemmis at Reggies, but and with The Shadows Adorn and how it starts. And I loved how this show started. Yeah. What do you have their Spotify? I just wonder, like, on the album, like, where that song sits in the album lineup. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where does it fall in the album? We can find that real quick. Like, I mean, we have the vinyl right behind you.
I know we do, but
we'd have to move around and move more.
It's like third. I was just thinking if that's how the album started, that would be really, really awesome.
So you haven't... we did actually listen to the album, but we were doing other shit, so we weren't, like, actively listening to it. But... there are several parts in this album, this new one, where there are sort of there's tracks that bleed into the next track.
Oh, okay.
So
like
fucking
it just
well.
Flows very well.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be one of the transitions. I remember actually seeing during the release or the pre-release sort of listen stream, somebody just like say like, oh my God, that transition was fucking insane. And it is. There's one song, I think, I can't remember where, but like the end of the song just bleeds right into the next song.
Oh, okay.
And it could be this one. Also, I think Mother Graves was on there as well, and they're like writing to people, and they're like, all right, this next song's coming up. It's got a long as fuck intro, but it's worth it. And this could be the song that we're talking about.
Yeah. I know, like, so the only song that I think that I listened to of the album was the Periapt Of Absence. Is that the one that...
the title track.
Yeah, so is that the one that they released?
I think so. I think that was their first single.
A month ago or a couple months ago? Or Upon
Oh, no, it was Upon a Burden Hands.
Okay, so that song, that doesn't seem long enough, though. Maybe it is.
5 minutes.
Maybe it is. But anyways, so one of the songs in the middle of it is just like, so it's the normal doom and stuff, and then it goes into the keyboard in the middle of it.
Yep.
And then it goes back into the doom sound and everything. And I loved how that like all came together.
Was that the one with like the spoken word as well? Because even on the album, it comes across better on the album. But there's a part where it's just sort of a spoken word intro, basically like reading a poem.
Oh, possibly.
And I think they were reading a poem during, like, I think it is actually a poem. Again, on the stream, they did say what it was from and where it was from and everything. I can't remember. But they did play that song here as well. Okay. Which was really cool to fucking see.
It could be. And I'm sorry, I don't know the songs that well.
Same.
From the album.
I'm really bad with names, and I've listened to the album a few times now, and I just can't think of the name.
Yeah, yeah. I think he did mention at during the first show that we saw at Reggies with them that Rain was for his wife, and then this time as well, he's like, this one I dedicate to my wife.
Oh, yeah. I do remember him saying something like that. I can't remember a whole lot about it the first time. I thought he said something about a wedding Or maybe that was the song I thought he was saying. Something
I
wedding.
think it is because like the first time we saw them, we didn't get their set list, but I took notes because before every single song he said the name of it. And then so I took notes, and that was the only song that we put wedding down.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Because we thought wedding was the name.
But yeah, then I remember him doing that. This one, like I wanted to dedicate this one to my wife.
Yeah. No, I was kind of disappointed when I realized that they weren't playing the album in full.
Yeah.
But it was fine because I liked how they mixed in some new songs and old songs because they only had the 2 albums. So we talk about this all the time when like building a set list, how it's like like we always use Metallica as an example, but it's like you have the same songs that you play and then they like change up like 2.
Yeah.
Or 2 or 3. But
and along those lines, Where the Shadow Adorns, again, I love that song too. It's my most listened to song of theirs as well. I've added it to a playlist I call Smoking, where if I go out and like smoke a cigar, I'll just sit out there and I have a fuck ton of doom metal. And it's just sort of this airy, sort of doomy sort of sound. Like it's perfect for smoking a cigar for a few hours in the like dusk of night, right? So I listen to that like every summer at least once or twice, or how often I smoke a cigar. Not that often, but
I was like, did you even do that this summer?
I did once.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't remember you doing that.
But that's on that playlist, so I listen to that the most. And again, it's a great song to start a set, I think.
Yeah.
I felt that it was a little weird at the end at first because it had that, like, again, it has that slow sort of build up. And I was like, this is so perfect at the beginning. But how they started this set, again, that guitar intro, like you were saying, very slow and long and drawn out and very doomy. Like, I thought that was great too.
Yeah. I liked having it at the end. It made me happy. I remember smiling because I was like, yes, like, because they did say, like, we have one more song for you, or, like, this will be the last song, or however they said it. But it's, like, it made me so happy that that's the song that they play, because I did think going into it, I was like, we won't hear that song because they're going to play the album in full. That's what I think, not realizing that they weren't going to play the album in full, blah, blah, blah. So.
But, I also feel the same way looking at, like, Khemmis when they do A Conversation with Death. That seems like a weird song for me to end on, just because it is sort of slower, more melodic. And I'm used to, like, Lamb of God, where you end on a high, like a super fast note. We're going to kick your fucking teeth in. I got to keep in mind that this is more of a doom show where that slower, melodic-y kind of thing actually fits the end very well.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So that's where I'm just like, I need to transition my brain from different styles of metal and whatnot, right? Where what you would expect at one show for the end isn't what you should always expect at the beginning or at the end for another show.
Yeah.
But I loved the set list. I loved how it all came together. I thought it was fucking awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what you want me to say there.
No, all good. Great time. I'm glad we got to see him again. Hopefully we get to see more of their shit.
Yeah, hopefully they do a tour next year or something. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot more touring as well, because we saw them in Denver last year for the Beer and Metal Festival, which is fucking awesome.
And they went to Seattle to do a show.
Festival out there, yeah. So, I mean, it's great they're getting around and traveling a lot more. So good for them. I hope that, I hope for the best for them, and I hope they keep doing this shit and keeping it going. So hopefully we get to see them again, and we'll see when that is, but we'll keep an eye out for sure.
Yeah. Maybe we need to go to Indianapolis to see them.
Seeing a show in Indianapolis would be fun.
We already did see a show in Indianapolis.
Seeing their show in Indianapolis. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Seeing their show in Indianapolis would be fun.
Yes, it would.
Like a hometown crowd and whatnot.
Yeah. I always think about that. Like seeing a band in their hometown is probably more fun than.
Right. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe they'll be around Kuma's. We can go check out that Kuma's again.
Is it still open?
I don't know if it is or not.
They're not doing too well.
None of the Kumas are doing too well, no, unfortunately. Anywho, our next band, Immortal Bird, the headliner for this show.
From Chicago.
For their new album, Querencia. I don't know if I'm saying that last. Querencia. Querencia. I like that. Querencia.
So it's a Spanish word that has multiple meanings depending on how it's used. So I don't know how it's used here, but probably the first one. But it's a metaphysical concept, a favorite spot, or a defensive area in a bullfight. So, and sin is without. So that's why I'm saying it's probably without a metaphysical concept.
Oh, all right. I like that.
So that makes sense to me.
That's cool. Why don't you read off their set list for us? Again, when we do this, maybe we'll put up photos of the actual set list, and then, I don't know, that could be fun. Because They're sort of shorthand.
Oh, you mean like the photos from what we got? Okay. Yeah. We could do that. Yeah, during the editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which the photo for this one we got, they handed it down to a couple up in the front, and we like just walked up and was like, hey, can we get a photo of that?
Yeah. So it's a little bit better than the Mother of Graves one, but it is kind of cool to get the physical.
Yeah.
Or like get a picture of the physical. We've never gotten a physical set list, but no, we have.
We haven't got a couple.
Metallica and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Immortal Bird played Plastered Sainthood, Anger Breeds Contempt, Propagandized, Bioluminescent Toxins, Oceans Endless, Synthetic Alliance, Contrarian Companions, and then Querencia. I know I'm not saying that word right, but the title track of the album. And then they did play an encore that was not on their list because everybody kind of did the whole, like they literally, I mean, they
unplugged their guitars. They got everything done.
They were like starting to they were done.
They stood in the corner and they started talking to each other, and then people were chanting like one more song, and they're like, all right, fuck it, let's just do one more.
Yeah, so I think they talked about like what song could we do, and then came out and did another one. So I don't know what song that was. It was really awesome to see I don't like encores. Yeah. But an authentic encore of like, oh, they, like we could play this song, so let's play that song.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It did feel more authentic. But I was thinking in the back of my head of like, did they kind of talk about this ahead of time? Like, what if they ask us? What are we going to do? Like, or
maybe it's always a concept of a band.
And just like they unplugged everything and like, all right, let's stand here for just a few seconds and see what happens. And if it's super energetic, then sure, we'll go back out. If not, fuck it, we're going to tear down. But I did like that approach of whatever it was, if it, was planned out at all, or if it truly was genuine in the moment, spur of the moment type thing. It felt more real and more organic than the typical sort of
let's walk off stage and come right back.
Exactly. Yeah. That sort of it's going to happen type thing, right? Yeah. So I did honestly enjoy that.
Yeah,
too.
And Reggies is a little different where like they don't really have like the lights and like all that stuff, so you can't really tell if it was planned or unplanned, but it almost seemed genuine. Yeah. That it was like we weren't planning on like this was our set list, which makes sense how they ended with the title track and everything. Yeah. And then we're going to play one more song.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly in the set itself. They played a couple of their older stuff. I think the second song, Anger Breeds Contempt, was off a previous album. And then the singer comes out and she's like, all right, so we're going to play nothing off. We're only going to play new shit now off our new album. So I hope you're ready for that. And it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. Which I'm wondering if, we don't have a set list for Mother of Graves in Indianapolis, but I'm wondering if it was almost the same where like they played more new stuff versus scattering it in, or if it was scattered in as well.
Right. Because they also didn't play the entire album for this one. So again, I honestly anticipate at least one of the bands playing the entire album from start to finish. Yeah. So that, I don't want to say that was disappointing because I really didn't know the band that well. I mean,
honestly, they only didn't play one song.
Yeah.
Consanguinity.
And maybe that was the encore?
Oh, maybe. That would make sense.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to throw that in as the encore.
I wonder if it is. And like I wonder if that people were like, you have one more song. Not like play one more song, but you have one more song.
Maybe. Okay. I'm going to throw it in as the encore for this one.
And now my genuine
but it did
ending. It did
feel more genuine, right?
It did, yeah. I don't think it was planned, but that makes sense.
I'm going to throw it on as when we add this to the playlist, though. That will be the last track we throw in. But I know it's so weird because I've said this on other episodes when we've gone to shows that are albums in their entirety and being like, I fucking hate that. I hate going in knowing you're going to play the entire album because they always do it in order too. They didn't do it in order here. If you're going to do it, mix it up, which I love when bands do that. But my biggest complaint is, especially if you know the album, you know sort of the setup of the show, when it's going to be over and whatnot. And maybe, again, that's where everybody in the crowd's like, no, there's one more. Like, and that's where when they came out and like, all right, we have one more song, we're done. And people in the crowd are like, no, there's two more songs. There's not one more. You have two more.
Potentially.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't.
I didn't know the album, so I didn't know anything.
This is our first time with the band, seeing them, hearing of the band and whatnot. We you said this. We were there for Mother of Graves. Yeah. But I'm glad they were here. I really enjoyed their set.
I did too. I really enjoyed it.
Their energy was fucking phenomenal.
I love her vocals. How like deep her vocals can get. Yeah. I've said this on my many podcasts where I'm not necessarily a huge fan of female vocal, especially when it's melodic sounding, but like when you can have that deep vocal.
There's a few out there that you really enjoy that can do like that.
Like I like melodic with the deep vocals.
Yeah, yep.
But like we listened to Hailstorm the other day, we were doing like just pick a random record thing, and I'm just like, her vocals just seem country. I'm like, I don't care for this. But
and not everybody can do the melodic and the deep growls, right? Sometimes you'll see bands where they have a singer who does both aspects of it, or does one aspect of it. That way you can get both elements of it in a song and a track. But there's not a whole lot of people out there who have the range to do both of those. And when you find somebody who can, it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. No, this just popped in my head when we were talking about vocals. But was it during Immortal Bird that the mic cut out, or was it during Apophy?
I don't remember that at all, honestly.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, it was for like a portion of the song. I think it was during Immortal Bird, and the photographer actually I think went back and like kind of said like, hey, the mic's not going through the speakers.
I kind of remember that.
And then the guy came out and like fixed it or whatever. I think it was during Immortal Bird, but it was crazy to me. Like maybe they really can't hear what's going. Hear the vocals aren't going. Like they're just singing, so they don't really notice. But like. They just kept going. Like nobody on stage reacted at all. So maybe they really don't know, or
I think there's a few ways you can approach it, right? I've been to shows where they do both. You can keep going and just power through, and whatever, it'll get fixed, and the mic will be back up soon, and I'll just keep singing at that point, and everything will be as if nothing happened. Let's just keep going. Or you just flat out stop and then restart the song from the fresh. I've been to shows where it's both. I honestly kind of like just powering through it. Like, fuck it, whatever. I need to do my thing. Like, let's just go. The bands that do notice it will sometimes go off and like grab like the backup vocals mic or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that many times where like they'll notice it, and that's why I'm saying like I don't know if they just didn't notice it or like they were just in the middle of a song so they didn't notice. I don't know.
And it just goes with the vibe. Like the crowd's already energized into it, so. Yeah, just power through, which is great for them if whatever band it was.
I think it was Immortal Bird. Yeah.
But whoever did it, I think that shows a lot for the band to be like, we're just going to power through this and get through this rough little patch here and keep powering and not ruin the sound or the vibe. Because if you just stop, it could definitely ruin the energy for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
And be hard to bring it back. I loved the guitars, the drums, like all of it. Like this is our first introduction to this band. I do remember like thinking like, fuck, I like these guys a lot.
I honestly like the vocalist's persona. Like, just kind of timid, like more, I don't know, not timid. That's the wrong word.
No. Yeah, because she was very vocal during her crowd interaction.
Oh, yeah. Just like, but how like she was like standing and stuff. Just like kind of like, well, we're going to play this song. Like, I don't know. It was just like, it was kind of like no bullshit.
Like
just
nonchalant. Like, here, I'm just doing my thing. Like, we're going to have fun. Cool. And like the praise they gave to all the bands, like, hey, Apophy, thanks for coming out. They're a new band. They're up and coming. They're going to be the future of music soon.
Yeah.
Mother Graves, they have a really old school sound to them. Really awesome. Doing really cool things. They are also the future of music. And like, it's just really cool. Like, to see these smaller bands, and we say it all the time, like just giving praise, like the community around this. And you see it when you go to shows and you see the bands just sort of like meeting up, like, oh shit, how's it going, man? Haven't seen you forever. It's all the time on the boat. Milwaukee Metal Fest, they're always walking around. Just like everybody knows everybody, and they're super fucking chill with each other. And it's really fucking cool to see like the community grow and just sort of be together and whatnot.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I do love that. The sad thing about Immortal Bird for me is I think it was their Instagram post I saw where they said $5 off admission because the other band's not going to be here. But they said, please come out to Reggies, check out the show. We don't anticipate being back in Chicago next year in 2025.
Oh, really? Even though they're a Chicago band?
Yeah, I think they might be doing a tour that's not going to be maybe in the Midwest, or maybe they're going to take a little break or something. I don't know. I bet they're touring somewhere outside of the Midwest.
Possibly. Or they're not going to actually play in the city of Chicago.
Maybe.
And like play Joliet or play West Chicago or something like that. And they're actually saying like, we're not going to be in the city.
And to be fair, that post was like late in 2024. So it's more of like, who knows what's going to happen next fall? Like something could
maybe
come around. Like right now, it's like, hey, we're not going to be back in Chicago, or it's going to be very late next year in Chicago. We've got other shit we're doing, but we don't have any anticipations of playing another show for quite some time.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
And what quite some time is, I don't know, but I want to see them again. I really do. Same thing with Apathy. Like Chicago local bands, I want to go explore this. The scene seems fucking amazing, and I think we've only scratched the surface of Chicago local bands.
100%.
So we need to get out there next year in 2025 and just explore this shit so much further. All in all, I said it a lot. This was a great fucking evening. We went for Mother of Graves, but we got 2 other amazing bands with them. Unfortunately, missed the 4th amazing band, I assume. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't be amazing.
Yeah, if they're on the lineup, they're going to be amazing. Yeah.
So it was a great night. Cheap, fun little night. Checking out small local bands, up-and-coming bands. Mother of Graves, like we said, they've been around doing a bunch of shit in the last year or so. I continue to see them grow. And
100%.
These other bands, I want to see them grow too. So I don't know. It was a great fucking night. I'm glad we went and glad we got to make it. In any case, go check out some live music and maybe we'll catch you at the next show.
Yep. Bye.